Um, you need to mute so that because you started recording already. So just for clarity, we'll be recording this for people who can join us. So just putting all the information out there so that you guys can know that we are recording this session. I'll give about 2 more minutes for people to join, and then we get started. Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you, Oluwapelumi, for joining us. Thank you, Isaac, for joining us today. So I think we can start now. We don't want to do the regular Nigerian timing. My name is Kenny, recruitment specialist with Squamish Nation, and on today's episode of Career Talks, we'll be having a deep conversation with Imole. Imole is actually a professional in this field. Imole has over 10 years international experience, ranging from is a people manager with experience in strategic HR, generalist function, and also change management. Imole has been with Coca-Cola since over a year now and over 10 years, like I said, experience. So Imola has so much to talk about in talent acquisition, strategic management, HR change management, and basically learning and development. Imola is also a mentor with the CPHR, UConn MDC. And so technically he's my mentor too. And yeah, let Imola do most of his introduction. And yeah, thank you guys. You mute Imole.
Yes, I'm on mute. Okay. Thank you, Kenny. How are you? Good evening, everyone. It's good to be here. Essentially, today we're just here to just have a conversation with ourselves and just talk about you know certain issues around employment and some of the myths that we encounter as as immigrants in Canada. I'm just trying to set up my okay. Yes, some of the myths that we encounter, and so basically, I'm trying to share my screen. Just give me a second. Okay. Okay. If you can see my screen, please let me know.
We can see you, but
You
not your
can see me,
screen.
but you can't see my I don't know why. For some reason, I'm not able to. Okay. I think this is interesting. Okay, I think. Oh, okay. You need to enable me to be able to share my screen.
All right, I'll give you the access now. Just give me a few minutes.
Yes.
You should be able to do that now.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Interesting. All right. Can you see my screen now? Can you see it now?
Yes, sir.
Yes, we can.
Oh, okay. Man, at last. All right. Once again, my name is Imole. As Kenny has said, it's good to be here. I'm hoping tonight that we're able to have conversations. I don't think it will be fun if I'm doing all the talking. So please, it will be nice for us to, you know, yeah, it will be nice to be able to, have conversations and ask questions. So I think it's better now, right?
Yeah, much better.
Oh, okay, fantastic. So as Kenya said, my name is Imola Ayashogo, that's my name. I live in Richmond, BC. I am privileged to be married to just one wife. I don't intend to change that. So I've been into HR for about 12 years now. Kenny, you said 10 years. That is 12 years.
I said over 10 years. Over 10 years. Basically we like to use the big numbers, 10,
Yeah.
20. So when you get to 20, we say over 20 years,
Correct. So I moved to Canada 2017. I believe in people. I believe in possibilities. I love HR. I have a deep passion for HR. And it's something I'm sure I'm going to do all my life in its various dimensions. I am blessed with 2 kids, as you can see, Tisha and Lasha. And there is my wife at the Big Bay. And then when I'm not working, I spend a lot of time with my kids. I also do a lot of volunteering. I think I volunteer about 5 organizations, and I enjoy to read. I'm a lifelong learner. I find I pride myself for that. I think I don't think I can stop learning. It has helped me, it's still helping me. I believe it is very helpful. I enjoy reading a lot. Yeah. Okay, I'm from Ondo State, and I like a bar. I rice. Even though I need to really watch that now.
You mentioned the assorted soup. We would like to know the list now.
The list. You'll be amazed. I'm a Yoruba man, but I love Igbo soup. I love aoha. I love white soup.
Professor.
Oh God. Don't go there. Then of course I enjoy our egusi, the four euro. I mean I love soup a lot, different soup. That's some of the things I miss here in Canada anyway. During early in the year I was in Calgary. I made sure I ate all the soup that was available. I didn't miss that. So hey, so today today's session we'll be able to look into some of the meets we believe as immigrants, of those meets, and we look at trends, changing the future of works. I think this is very critical, very important we understand it and how important it is for us. Some of the challenges we face and some of the strategies, that will help us in getting back to the field. This is very important. And I just put this here, and what it feels like for some of us, for most of us, it feels like, we're going round in a cycle. But I find that we're making progress in one way or the other. Anybody that chose to move to Canada, I respect them, because I know it's a huge transition. And a lot of people, these people don't even know how huge that transition is. And they don't even know, I tell people you can't, I had an engagement with somebody some years ago, early when I came, and he was talking to one immigrant, was referring to him in a funny way. And I said, if you know what this guy was doing back home and what he left to come here, you will know that he's not a small boy. The fact that we choose to come here and go through some of those processes, well, we know what we're doing. And, so it might look like we're going around the circle, but in actual sense, we're making progress. And today, I'm not going to be sharing things I read just in the books. I'm going to be talking from my experience and some of the research, and also some of the things I think that will help us. Please, as much as possible, ask questions. Please, let's make sure you can pause me at any time to ask questions, and I'm trying to and ask questions. Let's make this as interactive as possible, so that it will be worth our while. Today, I've not seen anybody. I don't know what's. I think it's my setting, but interestingly, I'm not just seeing anybody. But that's okay. I think we're whole here. So the first myth I want to talk about. Are we there? Were there, right? Oh, okay, fine.
Yes,
okay.
We are. We just put you on spotlight, so don't worry about seeing any other body.
Okay, that's fine, but I'd like to get response. The first myth here is that, from research and from my various engagements with people, is that getting a job in Canada is easy. How many of us had that impression, or we felt that coming here is easy to get a job? So in general, it is hard to find job in Canada, as an immigrant. In fact, it is probably more difficult to get a job here in Canada as an immigrant than any other country. And when you look at the trend, it's not necessarily because they don't have jobs. It's not necessarily because they have bad economy or they don't have jobs. Unemployment rate in Canada as of today is 6.7%. What that means in clear terms is that out of 100 people, you only have 6 people, or you only have 7 people who don't have jobs. And you have to consider it from those 7 people. Some of them they're choosing not to have jobs, right? Some of them is because they're on EI, and some of them is not because there's no availability of jobs, right? So in actual sense, it's not so much about the bad economy. That is for a fact, especially for those of us in BC. In some regions, it might be a bit different, right? Another fact is that Canadians expect that you have Canadian work experience, and this is a major issue. However, today we'll see that this can be breached. It's being breached every day. It's a major issue. This conversation is happening in various places around the country, and it's a reality, but it's changing. Another factor is that a lot of us will lack understanding of the recruitment structure in Canada. It's not the same from back home. They don't see things the same way we see things. They don't address, or they don't respond. Recruitment is a bit different. There are a lot of things we need to know that many of us are not aware of, right? And a critical one is the Canadian work culture. It's so different. These are some of the myths. So the first myth is, we say getting a job in Canada is easy. No, it's not easy. But there's a flip side to it. And the flip side to it is that, which is number 2 myth, is getting a job in Canada is oh, the first one is getting jobs in Canada is easy. But the flip side is getting jobs in Canada is not easy. Some of us believe that it's not easy to get jobs in Canada. But the truth is, the research shows that, Canada needs us. And that's what I wrote here. Canada needs us and they need our skills. So the researchers show that by 2035, which is less than 15 years from now, right, you have 5 million Canadians retiring. So that is, the ratio has dropped. The ratio has dropped to 2 in 1. I mean, out of one person retiring, 2 persons retiring, you only have 1 person to replace that person. That is a major issue. That is a significant major issue, not just because of the fact that there won't be jobs for these people. Not the fact that there won't be jobs for there won't be workers for the employers, but the whole economy itself is built around people. Nobody's going to be buying houses. Look at it, the guys retiring, they're not taking new credit cards. They're not the one running the country. And so if in 14 years, 5 million people are retiring, I mean, look at how that impacts the whole country. And so Canada understood that. That's why they significantly increased their immigration. In 2019, 330,000 people were brought in, and they are very strategic about how they are doing it. In 2021, they plan to bring 350,000 immigrants. And the research shows that 75% of the population growth comes from immigration, mostly in the economic category. I know most of us here, we came in through the PR, we came in as permanent residents, and we came in through the work route. The truth about it is Canada needs us to run their country. So there are a lot of jobs out there. Employers are looking for. I'll show you another research here. 21% of employers are not getting roles filled. Why? Not because there's no availability of roles or availability of people. The right competencies and the skills that is required for those roles, they are not getting people to fill it. So there's jobs. I mean, if you're doing any job right now, it's not in your desired job or it's not in your field. It's not because that job is not available. It's because there is a way to navigate and go to the city. And I hope that today we'll be able to, learn a few things. Another myth is that some of us believe that academic excellence is enough. No, academic excellence is not enough at all. Many foreign workers are under that impression that, as long as I have education in Canada, okay? Having education in Canada is good, is critical. Having education in the countries we come from is as important. It's not less important. It's just that they place a bit more premium on their education here, but education is education. Because all of us, our education was assessed through WES or through AXA or those organizations, and it is ascertained to be the same thing. So education is not enough. Research also shows that 41% of new graduates in Canada also don't get jobs immediately. That tells you that it's not enough. So what is important? It is important to know that your qualifications, to know the qualifications that are in demand in Canada. But more importantly, there are certain soft skills, there are certain competencies that we must hone into. I will not say that we must develop because we have it already. It's just that sometimes we're not paying attention to it the way we are supposed to pay attention to it. Like our work experience. Our work experience, I tell people the reason why they brought us is because of what we have to offer. That is a fact. And more often than not, when you go for an interview and you come back and they say, you don't have Canadian experience, I tell you what they are saying is that during that interview process, you are not able to exhibit the competencies they require. One of it is understanding the culture, speaking their language, adapting your profile, adapting your competencies to what is relevant, to what they need. They are aware that we are immigrants. The resume shows it. And they invited you for that interview. In other words, it's not so much about the Canadian experience. It's about the fact that your interviewing skills was not at par. My role, I interview people every week. I'm sitting in interviews. And in Coca-Cola, the TAs handle all the you know, the recruitment in the warehouse and the production facility, but every front-facing role in BC, I must sit in that interview. I interview at least 40% of people I interview every week is immigrants. And I tell you, one thing I found out in some of us is that we don't understand, we don't learn the interview skills. We're not speaking the language that the hiring manager wants to hear. Because in the first place, you got interviewed. So the concept of confidence and culture and identity and how we're able to exhibit our soft skills is so critical. I'll take time to talk about this a little more as we go further, you know. And then the fourth one I put here is that the foreign way of doing things is sufficient. You can't thrive in Canada if you don't adapt. And acculturation is a big thing. In one of the groups I'm in, one of our mantra is we're here to learn, unlearn, and relearn. You can't keep thinking or doing things the way we used to do back home, the way we used to see things back home, the way we used to, and expect that is the same here. Here, it is important that we unlearn some things. It's important that we adapt. It's important that we understand what is the culture, what is the language, what is the tone, what is important to them. You'll be in an interview, I tell you, I see this every day. And the guy is speaking to you, is smiling at you, is giving you good feedback. But when you leave, he's saying something different. That is their culture. They're not confrontational. In other words, there's more for you to understand in running that process, right? There's more for us to understand about the Canadian culture. Some of us are even working right now. We see some things I wonder if this will happen back home. The reality is there's so much we need to acculturize and understand how things are done here. It is very important. So these are some of the myths I've put here. And I like to establish to us now, we can't take away the fact that there's discrepancy, right, between new immigrants and immigrants who have even stayed some years and how the job market works. But I tell you, I know people who come in and in a short time, after going through certain process, some people are very lucky, they come in and they get the right jobs. I mean, almost immediately, they are. But the design here is not so much like that. The design that will be sustainable is that we learn some of the key things we need to learn. And then the faster we learn it, the faster we adapt, the faster we realign ourselves, the faster we get back into our role and keep that role and grow in it. Now, I put a research here. So this is a research on unemployment amongst landed immigrants versus Canadians. Now I put here the struggle is real, but it gets better. So look at the data here, right? So let's look at Canada-wide. The total population, that's the green here. Now landed immigrants in 2016, landed immigrants in 2016, landed immigrants 2016. About 8% of them, you know, unemployment amongst them is about 8%. Okay, that's landed immigrants. It means that people who came with a PR status, full PR status, those are landed immigrants. Immigrants who landed 5 years or less years earlier. Look at that. The statistic shows. Let's take 20. Let's not use 2019. Let's just use 2019. Right? Almost 10%. Almost 10% of people who came in 5 years or lesser, almost 10%, unemployment amongst them is almost 10%. That is high, but it gets better. As you move, immigrants who landed more than 5 to 10 years earlier, look at it, it is low, right? It's just about 6-7%. That is Canada-wide. Then, of course, immigrants who have landed and stayed over 10 years here, of course, is significantly low. Look at the data in 2018, in 2017, 2018, and 2019. You will discover that we even get more jobs than people who are born in Canada or Canadians. Look at that data. What does that tell us? It tells us because that we are resilient. Because we are resilient, and when we understand the game, when we understand the way to the city, we thrive. Look at BC. Of course, BC is far better. Of course, because unemployment in BC is a bit lower than the average in the state. But it gets better. The question is, what am I doing, or what are the strategies I'm adopting to make my journey faster? Okay, and generally speaking, you know, so let's look at labor market here. Look at production. Look at their projection. Major industries between 2019 and 2022, right? They are heavily reliant on immigrants. So they are saying that, including high opportunity occupations, you know, there's going to be new immigrants who fill 31% of new job openings in BC over the next 10 years. And the main units, or the main industries, the health units, the professional units, and the industry and the retail industry. Just looking at this data tells you that there is work here, and tells you that no matter your current situation or what is happening, there's job opportunity. And BC is projecting that there's going to be more jobs, and 31% of those jobs is going to be filled by us, right? So what does that tell us? It tells us that truly the reason why we are probably not getting it now is because we've not known the way to the city, or it's because we are not applying certain principles that we need to apply and can make us win in the market. Okay, so I'm going to move on and move to some of the trends in 2021 that I think is going to be significant in helping us. But before I move on, does anybody have any question or any contribution or any thoughts that came to your mind while I was talking about this myth? Maybe you had one more myth that you used to believe, but right now you found that is different within the employment space in Canada. Anybody? It's been nice to just get somebody, you know, to just give us a comment on some of the trends, some of the things that you've observed since you've been here. Anybody?
Hey, hi, Male, I can go.
Yes, Abid, thank you.
Hey. Right. I think one thing that I've realized is the fact that just shooting your applications randomly on job boards, it's okay, but it's probably not the most effective.
Fantastic.
The easiest, or the most effective way of actually getting a job is by actually talking to people in the company you want to work for. So networking essentially is what I'm referring to. So that's just what we wanted to chip in. Thank
you, Abid. I'm going to talk about that a lot in the slides ahead. But thank you. That's very key. Thanks for sharing that. And that is some of the myths that you know, some of we used to just have the impression that just doing digitally and shooting your resume will get you a job. No, it's a myth. In Canada, I tell people in Canada, they are more man no man than even Nigeria.
Hi, well, I think Mr. Charles wanted to say something. I'm not sure.
Oh yes, please. Unfortunately, I don't know. I'm not seeing. But please, Mr. Charles, go ahead. Absolutely, please.
Yeah, basically it was what the last speaker said that yes, even if you apply to a company, if you know someone there or a mutual connection and you reach out to that person, you stand from my experience and from what I've heard, you stand a much greater chance of even getting your application getting the attention you want than just shooting a cold CV to somewhere. So even if you don't know someone there, you can get on LinkedIn and you find a mutual connection or anyone that works there. It gives you a much greater chance from what I've experienced myself.
Thank you, Charles. Thank you. We'll talk more about that. That's like I was saying.
Also, sorry, Imola, I have another comment in this comment section. Someone said, I had some Nigerian names count against us. People have to change their names.
Okay, this is, can you please note this? We're going to treat it towards the end of the session, right? The data shows that yes, we have this implicit bias, especially to our names, but there is a way to navigate that path. Okay, we'll discuss it more. But thank you for capturing that. That is something very critical. But I'm going to share some experiences and how that plays out. So let's look at some of the trends in 2021. I just quickly run through some of these trends. I think this will also help broaden our mindset. Okay, there's what we call the pandemic epiphany. You know, this was coined sometime last year, I think by Anthony Clough. I think Anthony Clough, that's his name. And, you know, I don't know if you guys have heard of the Great Resignation. It's happening right now. You know, 41% of workers want to quit their job this year, you know, worldwide. The number is quite significant in America. 95% of Americans are thinking of quitting their jobs. Think about it from this side. If these people are thinking of quitting their jobs, what that means is that there'll be more openings and more jobs. And I can tell you for a fact, a lot of organizations are doing a lot to respond to it, right? We're in the middle of Great Recession. And why? The major reason for this is people have found out that, I mean, job security, the pandemic has made people understand that the job security or their jobs is not what is most important in their lives. They could have died. And some people realize that if they had died, I mean, they've never made any impact with their family or their kids or anything. And people started rethinking the impact of jobs in their life. And organizations are beginning to reposition for that. I can't tell you the numbers of resignations that's happened in my organization and why we constantly have meetings. So some people are not resigning. So the resignation is taking different forms. Some people are resigning to go and start a passion, to go and focus on their passion, and they're making money through it. Some people are resigning for higher wage, you know, but more people are resigning because they're tired of current systems in the organization and they want more. But what that really says is there's jobs out there, right? Microsoft conducted a survey and found out that 41% of Americans, that's 4.3, they quit their job in August last year. Now, let's come to Canada. In Canada, 19.2% of Canadians are thinking of quitting their job this year. That simply tells you there's more jobs. I mean, a lot of people that I work with or I relate to or I mentor, I've seen a lot more people get jobs this season, more than any time since I've been in Canada. Why? Because things are opening up and people are positioning themselves better for great jobs. So it's important we have this in the front of our mind. It's one of the great trends that is happening now and it's critical. Another trend is preference for soft skills. Believe me, this is pivotal to this conversation more than anything, right? LinkedIn survey says 92% of HR professionals and hiring managers are now focused on soft skills because they are considered more important than hard skills, right? You know, hard skills is easier to find. There are various measures to define or determine hard skills, technical skills, but soft skills cannot be automated. They don't go out of style, right? So 92% of HR managers are saying, hey, soft skills is more important, right? Excuse me. 80% say soft skills are increasingly important to company success. Now, guys, no matter where all of us, I'm very convinced that all of us in this particular meeting, we are doing significantly well. At least we are doing well back home. We're owning our stuff for us to decide to come here. In fact, not everybody is allowed to come here. We've met certain criteria. And I believe that all of the things that made us success back there, they are the soft skills and some of the hard skills that we have. And so look at things like empathy and emotional intelligence. Believe me, emotional intelligence is as critical as anything. Our creative or communicative abilities, right? In these interviews, in this networking, in this engagement, these are the things that plays out. Our persuasive ability. You ask me, Mole, how does persuasive ability work here? Imagine you are in an interview and you have wowed them towards the end of the job. You are asking for the job. I mean, I've experienced it only once. And guess what? We gave that job to that person because the person asked us for the job. That is persuasion. People by this skill have gotten better pay. A lot of us, we shoot ourselves in the leg because we are super excited about that job. I mean, I understand that sometimes it's in the face of the season that we are, but we could have earned more. Why? Because we deserve more, but because of our soft skill around persuasion and negotiation, right? So skills like collaboration, adaptability, accountability, these are soft skills that people are leveraging on, that managers are looking for. And when you are in that interview, when they're having that conversation, it reflects. You're not telling them what it is verbatim, but in your examples, in the way you're communicating, in the experiences you are relating, you're showing all of those skills. And in their minds, they are saying this person has what it takes to be in this organization or to run in this role. So soft skills is something important. We have to pay attention to it more than ever, right? Then diversity in hiring, either we like it or yes, we've seen a trend, an improved, we've seen this trend, and you know, the death of George Floyd is one of the things we have to give thanks to. I mean, it's somehow, but either we like it or yes. Since the deaths of George Floyd last year, there's been a surge and an increase in diversity recruitment. A lot of banks in Canada, let's just talk about Canada, have introduced or upped their game around diversity. I mean, more than ever before in the last 2 years, we've seen a lot of roles around diversity manager, director of diversity and inclusion and all of that. And companies are beginning to really own in and leverage on the international skills that we bring in. So you brought in the issue of name, and I agree with you, name plays some game. But more importantly, if you are well positioned, and some of the strategies we're going to share today is really maximized, name doesn't matter. Let me tell you the truth. I've changed my name about 2 or 3 times. Maybe my first, second year in Canada. My middle name is Gabriel, and I saw one resume that I put Gabriel there. But do you believe in all of those applications, I didn't get any job with that name. In fact, my first main HR job, right? I interviewed and I got the job. Of course, it's through networking, which I'll emphasize on. And I remember when I was talking to Maria, who is the head of talent, she was telling me that, what is your name? She said, I observe in all your documentations, it is Imole Ayoashogbo, but your name on your resume and the name we have been calling you is Gabriel. I said, my first name is Imole, but Gabriel is my middle name. She said, you know what? I understand what you're thinking, but use Imole because that is your name. And we will learn how to pronounce it. So you see, you see that part. And you know, I was so grateful to her. Since then, that was 3 years ago. I never thought about it again of changing my name to Gabriel, even though Gabriel is my name. Why? Because what is more important is our strategy in getting to the market. Okay? So diversity in hiring is a new reality. More people, I mean, these days now, of course, you don't even see any adverts, or most roles, by either they like it or yes, they have to employ people of diverse space. And that is really helping us. We've seen a lot of our women take up leadership positions, take up strategic positions. Why? Because of the death of George Floyd and because of the in-depth research, right, in what companies lose when they are not diverse. I heard one of the Caucasians in my organization say it about a month ago. He said, there's no way our business will sustain or survive without immigrants. He said it, he's a senior guy, he said it, and I just smiled. Why? And a lot of organizations are realizing this. What does this mean to us? This trend means that there's more room for us. It means there's more space for us. And what is critical is that, what is critical is that we begin to own into that. Most organizations are not so much, they don't so much care about our color. They so much care about what we are bringing on board and how we are positioning ourselves. In fact, some of them, by quota's sake, they have to recruit us. And then when they recruit us, they see the immense value we have owned into and we're able to deliver. We change the game. I don't know how many people have referred for jobs. And just when they hear Imole, they get the jobs. Obviously because those people are good at what they are doing, but because somebody has played in that circle and raised a standard, which many of us have, we already begin to change the narrative. That is important, okay? So somebody said, could it also be technology cutting down jobs? Well, in retrospect, technology doesn't cut down jobs, it creates more jobs. That's a conversation for another day. Technology actually creates more jobs. It can shut down, thank you. I'll make it a bit faster. It can shut down some space, but in actual sense, it creates more jobs. So let's look at some of the strategies, that I think is critical in helping us as we navigate this part. Okay, so the first strategy is clear understanding and appreciation of our work experience. Okay, so I put here that your international experience, from back home is valid. Believe you me, it is 100% valid. right? So sometimes we find disparity. We find what is fundamentally different between Canada and our international experience is maybe the accreditation process, or maybe the accreditation body, you know, or maybe some cultural elements. But fundamentally, it's the same. What we are doing back home, you know, HR in Nigeria is the same as HR in Canada. What is different is legislation. What is different here is culture. So what do I need to do here? I need to learn the legislation. I need to learn all of those things. But the way you hire, the way you fire, the way you recruit, the way you do performance management is the same thing. Believe me, in some of us, back home, some organizations are even far better. Believe, as a matter of fact, than some Canadian organization. So our international experience matters, and that's why they bring us here. That's why they brought us here. So we're not going to fall for that. We need to learn to appreciate that experience. You know, what we need to do is, how does it translate? And that's what I've talked about. It is critical that for us to identify what are the accreditation bodies. You are a salesperson, you're a business analyst, you're an HR person, you're in finance. There is most organizations in Canada, they have an accreditation body. They have a standardized process. One critical thing for us is to get involved there. Get the accreditation. Now, I tell people, I have all the HR certifications in Canada and the US, all the main ones, I have them. But my current job, I had my current job even before I got this accreditation. So I'm trying to balance it here. Accreditation is important, but it's not the ultimate. But it's important. Why? It helps you understand the body of knowledge, number one. Number two, it shows the people out there that you know what you're saying. It shows, it increases your credibility. Whatever it takes, go for it. Whatever it takes to get the accreditation, go for it, because you can never waste anything in education. Education here, and I tell people, one of the strategy is make sure that you get some form of Canadian education and put on your resume. And I got this clear feedback, and that's why I can share it in confidence. When I was going for this particular role, I noticed. Of course, it was a very, very, very. It was very competitive. But I asked my boss that, why did I get roles? One of the things she said is that, I love the courses you chose to pursue within the short time you came to Canada. Guys, we must be strategic about that. It's an investment. We must be clear about that. We must invest in that, because it shows competency, it increases your credibility. And either you like it or yes. I tell people, we are competing against not just Canadians. We're competing against another set of people that are more intelligent as well. We're competing against Indians. We're competing against the Chinese people. Those people, they pay attention to education like us. We just must ensure we differentiate ourselves, from this trajectory. Another part is networking. Now, this is one part that, we've talked about, and I can't overemphasize. 80% of job positions are in the hidden markets. Either you like it or yes. And that is why you have a lot of recruitment organizations. That's why you have executive search. Some of these jobs, they don't put it online. They don't put it on their websites. They use this search, and that's why these bodies will reach out to you on LinkedIn and reach out to you personally. You must understand that. All my jobs, including the first opportunity I had to transition, I had to do volunteering, I got it through networking. Okay? In Canada, I say it over and over, I'll say it again, there are more man, no man, even than Nigeria. The only difference is that nepotism doesn't exist the way it exists back home. Referral is a big deal here. Either you like it or yes, you must acknowledge, you must recognize and acknowledge that. Referral is so important. So we need to start building relationship. We need to be deliberate. I belong to a particular organization, a WhatsApp group. It's an HR leadership group. We're the one in partnership on this. More than half of the people I brought in that group, I don't know them from anywhere. It's through LinkedIn and other platforms. We have to be deliberate about networking because somebody knows something you don't know. Professional associations is important. New contacts, social groups. Some of us are in some of these groups is good, you know, but some of us are not leveraging. So we need to leverage. We need to leverage on all the platforms that we are. Because believe you me, in people's organizations, they are looking for people. And if I refer, if somebody refers, my current job, I was referred. I wasn't looking for it. On a weekly basis, I'm not exaggerating, there are people always asking, are you interested in this role? And not just me, I see a lot of people like that. Why? Because of networking. People tend to trust you when you network, when they see some of the values that you put out there. That's why we can't joke about it. It's a strategy. It means this big picture. It means we have to be deliberate. You know, so network is just about maintaining those relationships and exchanging information. You understand? When I was in Calgary, before I moved there, I can't tell you before COVID, I can't tell you the number of coffees I went to. And the truth is about it is when you reach out to somebody and ask that, hey, can I have a coffee break, a coffee date with you? When they see your approach and all of that, 4 out of 5 will agree to it because they're curious. They want to hear you. You've presented yourself well. And out of that 4, when one has opportunity, they open you up to it. We can't overemphasize networking. People reach out to me every day and they are looking for people for certain roles. It's people that I engage regularly, I think about. And I say, hey, dude, Bobo Alpha, do you want this role? So we have to be deliberate. The excuse of I'm a gentle person or I don't know how to reach out or I don't know how to, that cannot work in Canada. If we must progress the way we want to progress. So networking is so critical. And we must be deliberate about it. There are a lot of people, there are people that have stayed in my house, say, I don't know them from anywhere. But through all of those platforms, through those engagements, they've gotten jobs. They've even gotten else. The same you have gotten. Why? Through networking. So that is so critical. The second strategy is understanding the culture, the behavior of the Canadian people. Canadians are different. So they can smile at you, laugh at you, but what they are doing behind you, my brother and my sister, forget it. So your ability to understand the culture, how things are done, you know, how what is important to them and how to align ourselves, these dynamics will determine how fast and how far we go. We can't do these things the way we do back home here and expect ourselves to excel. Believe you me, it can't work. They say if you're in Rome, you act like Romans. We need to understand their culture. We need to be deliberate about it. We need to understand how do they communicate? How do they expect us to communicate? How do they structure their resume? In interviews, what do they expect? This is another conversation someday where we need to talk about interviewing because a lot of us don't interview well. We are excellent on the job. Our resume is good. That's why we got the invite. But we don't interview well. Therefore, we're not delivering well. And if you don't deliver well, you don't speak the language, you can't get the job. It's as simple as that, even if you were referred. So we need to understand the culture. We need to understand what is critical to them, right? Another key thing I want to quickly say, my time is almost off, is the first strategy is get a mentor. Believe you me, we need mentors. I had a mentor, I have mentors, and I'll forever have mentors. My first job that brought me to BC, for a fact, it was my mentor that referred me. She's not a Nigerian, I met her through one of these recruitment agencies, this support group, CRAEC. I was attached to her as a mentee. And for 9 months, I was doing what I was doing. For 9 months, I had relationship and engagements with her, but I never talked about work, you know. But immediately an opening, which was suitable, opened in an organization within her space, she was very excited to refer me. And that same cycle, I see it happen over and over. Mentor are people that how far we can see, the places we can go, the places we can reach, because they bought into us and we bought into them, they help us. I don't know the number of people I provide guidance and tutorship, and I get guidance and tutorship from on a regular basis on how to navigate. Mentors, having a mentor is like sitting on the shoulder of a giant. They see things, they have gone through a path that you've not gone through, believe you me, and they see things you don't see and they're able to help you. Look at the illustration there. Things are molded up sometimes. When we have the right people in our lives, they're able to help us straighten it. It's so critical. It's so important. It's very important. We need to get a mentor. You can't stay and say you can do it yourself. You are going for an interview. Who is prepping? Who is listening to you? You are applying for certain roles. Who's talking to you? Who's giving you perspective? You're navigating a path. Who is helping you? It has to be somebody who has gone through that path and has results to show. And we have to be strategic about it. There's jobs, believe in me. Look at what hiring managers are saying, right? 21% of them are finding candidates with right skills is hard for them. 80% are saying that finding candidates who are good fits, company culture, good fit for their company culture is hard. It's hard for them. And I talk about, how to help people navigate this part in terms of, talking in those sessions and you presenting yourself as a good fit. It is critical, but there is a way to it. Unemployment rate is currently 6.7%. More jobs are added by the month. Your job is there, but we need to know how to navigate the path, right? So there's jobs out there. And I like to round off by saying this. Don't give up. I mean, if you think, I know for a fact it's not easy. My first job that I got as an HR employment lead in Calgary, I applied 606 times. I have the evidence, 606 times on Indeed. That is different from the direct application I made on the website. That's different from all the other 606 applications before I got that job. My second one was lower. So we can't give up. A lot of us, I say sometimes that we settle. I have some friends that they've just settled. But believe in me, we can't afford to settle because we can get more. Because we can get more. Because not just because we can get, not because we are selfish or we are greedy. No, because we have more to offer. Right? So sometimes it's difficult. I mean, people talk to me, I share my experience and I see that it's difficult sometimes. It's truly difficult. But we can't give up. We can't give up. And, I mean, I think at the end of the day is, I kept this short because of our time, but more importantly, they need us. They need what we carry. They need our skills, our competences. They need the solutions we bring. How do we sell it to the market? One part of the scripture, my own particular Bible, my own particular guide says that the labor of the fool wears him out, for he does not know the way to the city. So it's not about laboring. There is labor and it's important, but he's still worried out because he does not know the way to the city. There is a way to the city here. There are people who are making 6 figures, 7 figures. There are people who are living that life, and truly that life, not the rat race, but they own into the strategy. Look at the data I shared. After 5 years, between 5 and 10 years, we even have more better job options. We even have better life than Canadians themselves. But it's not everybody. It's those of us who are able to own into this thing and maximize this thing and get it early so that we position ourselves early for the life we truly want. I think I've come to the end of this conversation.
Thank you, Mola. That was so, should I say touching? Or more. Anyways, thank you guys for joining us today. Imola said so much about things you should look out for when you're looking up for a new job. Talking about culture, I would like to emphasize more. I'm also in the HR field, so I would say for you, I sit in interviews a lot too, and just like Imola mentioned, major things you're looking for: skills, culture fits. And they know you have the experience, they know you have the qualification, they know most times that you might be a possible fit, but they need you to prove yourself. So basically, I think we'll discuss this later, and maybe if we get more feedback, we might come up with ways to do interview session with people, and if they're interested, see what we can sign up with the HR community and see what we can do for residents in BC. Thank you guys for your time today. We're trying to keep to 1 hour. We started 5:05 and it's 5:56 already, so I can say we kept to time. Thank you, everybody. If you have any questions, please, you can reach out to myself on the Nigerians in BC group, Kenny, or you can also reach out to Sheon for anybody. And also, if you're in the UBC group in this place. I know I put up the link. So yeah, you can also reach out to me for anything. There are a couple of current ongoing openings in my organization. I'll be sharing that
Sorry,
also.
Kenny, why don't we take some questions here? Maybe some people have some questions.
Yeah, so the floor is open. Anybody?
You have a question, you have a contribution, or you have something you wanted to just say? Yes, I saw somebody raising their hands. Kenny.
Okay. If you're on mute, please unmute yourself.
Isaac,
yeah.
Yeah. Well, I don't know what time it is in Canada now, but I'm currently speaking from the UK. So first, thank you so much for the lecture. It's so enlightening, and I really appreciate this kind of conversation among Nigerians. I feel it's really strategic. Like my experience here, I've been to Canada, spent a couple of weeks, but I discovered something unique about the Chinese, which I feel that this group is also replicating. You know, in one of the group we had in school here, people question, Chinese don't speak English, but yeah, they come up very well in their classes, in tests, in English schools. So we took time to actually delve deep into why. We discovered that they are strategic, they collaborate. Most times you see Chinese working in groups. So I'm really happy that similar thing is reciprocating in this kind of group we are having. But I just want to have I need answer to this question. When it comes to secular jobs in Canada, to what extent is a PhD required? Is PhD really needed in secular jobs in Canada? Yeah, that's my question. I just want to know your view on that.
Okay, that's a good question, and thank you for sharing what you shared initially, Isaac. That is so important. It's not just the Chinese people. I see Indians do it here too, and Filipinos. Where you see one of them, you see all of them, and we are trusting that we will keep doing that in our communities as well. So PhD, from my experience, most people in PhD are in academia here. You really don't need PhD to work in Canada. Except for certain roles. So I find in some roles, I've seen some roles around some NGOs, some high-level NGOs, and they tell you a master's or a PhD is an advantage, right? You know, so, but more often than not, or some senior level research roles, your PhD is added advantage. If you're working with some big multinationals and you have a PhD and you're into research, and you're into, you know, that's, but for most roles, it's rare for you to find a PhD as a job requirement, except you're in academia or you're in those organizations where they do some very deep level research, deep level analysis, and they believe that a PhD student or a PhD person has would have the competency that they're required to deliver at that level, then yes. Other than that, PhD stays more in academia. Yeah. Policy, economy, or policy analysis. Exactly. Those are some of those big NGOs, those governmental organizations. Thank you. Governmental organizations. Most of them at a senior level, the minimum is a master's degree. So if you have a PhD, that's probably going to give you an extra advantage. Yeah. Okay, I hope that answers that.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
Thank you.
Do we have any other questions?
Why is it difficult to get referrals despite connecting with others? Well, that's Rosemary, thanks for that question. I mean, referral more often than not is a personal thing. This is how I say it, right? I think if we need to be strategic about that. We know that we will need referrals, then we need to be deliberate about building relationships. Right. For instance, if Kenny comes to me and say, Imole, you need referral, I won't think too much, right? Because I didn't know him yesterday, right? And we have engagement. I see him talk, I see him exchange. You know, so I'm confident that from a professional angle, I can refer him. He will not spoil my name, he will not mess up, right? So that building getting referrals is you need to connect with people. I've seen somebody ask me for referral. We've never even talked before, right? And he's asked me for referral as a job. I told the person, I'm sorry, I can't at this time. I can't refer you, right? So I think it's something that we need to be deliberate about, right? We know we will need referrals, and that's why networking helps. In your networking is relationship building. So you're investing in people, investing time, they're investing time in you, you're building confidence, they are trusting you more. So when you need them to be as referral, people won't hesitate, right? So I think if we see it from that lens, it will be easy for us to get, so we will make meaningful connections. Because I added you on LinkedIn, you added me, doesn't mean we have connections. We'll make meaningful, and people can trust enough to refer us. As new immigrants, are you saying we need to get Canadian accreditation to be able to stand out in the job market? Yes and no, but it's safer to say yes to you. So let me use my own field for example. Most roles in HR, Kenny, back me up here, they ask CPHR is an added advantage, right? Most roles. In other words, if they are using an ATS system and the ATS system shortlist candidates for that role, it will automatically shortlist all the people that have a CPHR, and you that you have all the experience and everything, you don't have CPHR, you'll be taken away. So we need to understand it from that angle, right? And another thing is, if your body has an accreditation, your industry has an accreditation body, it makes you stand out. It makes you stand out. They are confident that you have the body of knowledge. And that's why organizations pay for these accreditations, or they pay for your membership. My company and most companies I know, they pay for your membership. That means they place premium and value on it. So it's safer for me to tell you, yes, it's better to be accredited. I think it's better to be accredited by the bodies that is recognized by employers within the workplace. It's not the ultimate, but it tells them that you have the body of knowledge. You know what is required to excel on that role, and it makes you stand out. How can you manage office politics and mild criticism in the office? That's a symposium question. Office politics is everywhere.
Even in Nigeria, back home.
Even in Nigeria, you can't. How can you manage it?
Imole,
Yes,
Imole, on the lights, on the background of some of the things we've discussed.
Yes.
Yeah, that's why I'm asking that question.
Oh, on the background of some things we've discussed.
Yes.
Okay. I mean, office politics is, sorry, who just spoke now, please?
That's Michael still.
Michael.
Okay.
Michael can't agree.
Michael, office politics is inevitable, right? I think there are two things that we must be critical to us. So they said that there are two things that makes you go forward within the office workplace setting. Number one is competencies. Proofs can never be disproved. Competencies and results. And number two is relationship. Okay, so if in between that is the emotional intelligence of understanding the space that you are and managing the dynamics of that space. If you are working in an environment where they like to talk, or they chop people in their leg, right? Because you have that awareness, you are careful the kind of association that you make, right? You're careful the people you are speaking, you're talking to, and then at the same time, you're careful on the people that you are building relationship with while you're focused on delivering results. Either you like it or yes, office politics is, you can't take it away. If you're in a toxic environment, right, and issues keep happening and you're not able to straighten things out, I mean, at some point you need to be vocal, you need to take your position and all of that. But it's probably safer to exit in such environments, right? So office politics is inevitable, but the key thing is be a result-oriented person. Even when they are saying trash and saying everything about you, they can't jettison you because of the result you're bringing. And then number two is identify strategic relationship. If you either we like it or yes, we all leak ass and we must learn to leak certain ass. Excuse my French. But you're leaking your ass strategically. because there are some people that you not be there, but they can mention your name in the room. And when they mention your name in the room, the direction with which they mention your name in the room will determine how your career will go in that organization. I was dealing with an issue about 3 weeks ago, a manager who was vying for another position, a senior position. 2 months ago, he's left now, a senior position. And in that senior position, because he's had issues with certain people in the past, right? They didn't speak well about him. And because they didn't speak well about him, it was difficult for him to get that role. And one of the things they said, that they had to say to him openly, was that, who do you have to replace you when you move from this role? And he said he had somebody, and they asked him that, this person that you have, we don't know him. You have never said anything about him. You have never brought him forward. You've never said anything about him to us in the places that matters. That was a very instructive experience for me, right? So the point, one thing I learned was that there were some people he was supposed to submit to, even though he was performing. He did not. He never identified or recognized them. He never made an extra time to send them a text or tell them well done or whatever, or I'm seeing you, or let's go coffee. He never invested in that. He didn't play his emotional intelligence game properly. And so when the time came for certain things to happen, and see, and one thing we must also understand is, as you go higher in the organization, is less technical, more political.
Yeah.
So we must be clear about that. So that's why we must grow our soft skills, grow our this thing, and understand how the wisdom of the prudence is to understand his ways. How things they go here, how the things they happen. We must understand it and align to the one that is most profitable for us. I hope I answered that question a little.
We have one more question.
Yeah, please choose one more question. There are a couple of questions there.
Yeah, talking about referrals, can you only be referred by someone presently working for or in the organization?
Can you only be referred? No, not at all. You can be referred by anybody who is connected to the person in the organization.
Basically, what Mole was saying is just still building your relationship, and somebody can reach out to me. I don't know you, but I have a relationship with you. I don't work with Coca-Cola, but Imole can have mentioned something about looking for someone, and because I have a relationship with you, I can definitely refer you, and you still get.
Yes, Kenny can refer somebody to me, and I can refer that person to somebody within Coca-Cola. And Kenny doesn't work in Coca-Cola. So it's really about building relationships. It's really about building relationships, being deliberate about us building relationships. And that's the most, and investing in those relationships, that's the most critical thing. Another thing I want to chip in there is LinkedIn. LinkedIn is a strong platform that we need to maximize. We need to be deliberate about our presence on LinkedIn and what we do on LinkedIn. It will be profitable for us if we are present in that kind of environment. We are adding people, adding people in that HR managers, adding people in various organizations, and we're not just clicking connect. We're putting the notes there. We're having exchange of conversation with them. Also, when we see people post something, anything positive or anything that aligns with us, we make it a duty to like it and to make comments. That way, the algorithm picks us more. And that way, we begin to see as somebody of value, right? As a principal, there's no way you can say any negative comments, any social media footprints in the world. You can't see one because there's already so much negativity. And if it's that negative, if it's that bad, somebody has said something about it. But positive, you will see, right? Because people appreciate it when people say positive things. So somebody celebrating a job, celebrating something, comments, make a comment, like it. Those are little exchange. When you meet or reach out to people like that, you won't feel like a stranger to them because they've seen your footprints. And things as little as that. I've seen people add me and they say they saw my comment somewhere or they saw that I engaged them on their post. It's that simple, and I do that too regularly, right? So those are little things we can do to keep ourselves, and we're in BC, Nigerian BC group. We should be active there. Right? Thank God for that group. We exchange, we sell money, we laugh, we do all those things, right? But things are happening. I tell people, don't always judge things from the surface. Things are happening behind that you are not aware. People are getting jobs. People are doing transactions behind, right? So it's just important that we know what is important, what is our goal, right? And who is able to help us navigate that path. And we shouldn't be afraid to ask for help. The highest you get is a no, and then you move on. I've reached out to people, I've said, please be my mentor. They said no. I still saw one chat 3 years ago that I sent to somebody, but now we have conversations, but she's not my mentor. 3 years ago, but I didn't stop. So that exchange must keep going on. And even when somebody says no, we keep pushing.
All right, guys, I think we're overboard with 12 minutes. So thank you so much for your time today. Imola, thank you guys for joining us. We'll see where we can come up again with something like this. And yes, I've noted some things down. I'll go back to the team and we'll see what we can do. I think we talked about interviewing skills. We talked about culture. We talked about mentors, community building, relationship management. So if you have anything, please feel free to reach out to me. And yes, we'll get back to you. Thank you so much again. Happy Sunday. Enjoy your week.
Thank you, guys. Have a beautiful week ahead.
Good night, everyone. Thanks, guys.
Thank you. Thank you, Charles. Thank you.
Thank you.